The players are lined up on the floor. Dolphy the Dolphin is even in attendance, looking to get the crowd fired up.
We love Dolphy.
We do love Dolphy. Great name, by the way. Did they have a contest for that?
I have no idea.
Keep it simple, right? I like that. Dolphy the Dolphin. It's easy to remember. It rolls right off the tongue.
Well, you should probably know what is the mascot name for Miami Dolphins? Oh, come on now. You're a sports genius.
Well, not mascots located in the AFC East of football. I'm kind of proud of myself for not knowing the name of the Miami Dolphin mascot, to be quite candid with you.
That probably is true.
The horn goes off, and we'll turn down my mic and let you hear the PA announcer as we bring you the starting lineups.
Your Shoreline Dolphins, if you please now rise for the national anthem. Once again, welcome to Shoreline for today's women's basketball matchup featuring the Bellevue Bulldogs and your Shoreline Dolphins. And now the starting lineups first for the visiting Bellevue Bulldogs. A 5'4" freshman guard of Bellevue, Washington, number 2, Michaela Jones. A 6' sophomore guard of Brooklyn, Washington, number 5, Hunter Hopkins.
You can chime in when you want.
A 5'11" freshman forward out of Savannah, Washington, number 24, Shelby Kusuma. A 6' sophomore forward out of Issaquah, Washington, number 25, Ebony Johnson. And a 5'8" freshman forward out of Brooklyn, Washington, number 31, Jake Cosmos.
And here comes the Dolphin lineup.
And now the starting lineups for your Shoreline Dolphins. The 5'5" freshman guard of Seattle, Washington, number 1, Fatuma Abu.
So your first starter for Shoreline.
Freshman guard of Auburn, Washington, number 3, Latrice Johnson.
Get you all of these names in just a moment here.
Salt Lake City, Utah, number 12, Megan Moore. 5'10" sophomore center of Witten, Washington, number 45, Justice Terry. And a 5'5" freshman guard of Commonish, Washington, number 13, Tara Bremer.
So let's get you those lineups really quick. Number 1, Fatuma Abu. She is a 5'5" freshman from Rainier Beach High School. Number 3, Latrice Johnson, 5'6" freshman from Auburn, Washington. Number 12, Megan Lloyd. She is a 5'9" center from Hillcrest High School out of Utah. Number 13 is Tara Bremer. She's a 5'5" guard out of Toppenish, Washington. And number 45, the sophomore, 5'10" center, Justice Perry out of Renton, Washington. Looking at your lineup for the Bellevue Bulldogs. Number 2, 5'4" freshman from Juanita High School, Michaela Jones. Number 5, a 6' guard from Lake Washington, Hunter Hopkins. Number 24, a 5'11" freshman from Skyline High School, Shelby Kasuba. Number 25, Ebony Jackson. She is a 6' sophomore from Interlake. And rounding out the lineup, number 31, a 5'8" freshman from Redmond, Cape Cosmos. Bellevue with the ball first, wearing the road blue uniforms. This is a team that is undefeated in league play this year, 7 wins and 0 losses. And immediately getting her hand on the ball is Justice Perry, batting that one out of bounds. Bellevue down to 11 seconds to go on the shot clock. This ball never did touch the rim. A shot was never even put up. Bellevue looking for somebody to get open and finally finds a player. That was Ebony Jackson. Jackson swings the ball back on top to Michaela Jones. I'm not sure Jones knows the shot clock is running down. Hunter Hopkins for 3. Swish. Hopkins with the first points of the ball game, 3-0, and immediately Bellevue is going to employ a full court press, trying to trap the Dolphins. And Dolphins just getting the ball over the center line and getting trapped as number 3, Latrice Johnson. Tries to pass the ball off, gets it taken away by Cosmos. Stolen right back by Bremer. Bremer looking for an easy layup from Justice Perry. Feeds her down low, and Perry gets the Dolphins on the board, 3-2. 19 minutes to go in the half. Michaela Jones setting up the offense for the Bulldogs. Swings it over to Cosmos. Cosmos kicks it back out to Jackson. 3 ball left a little bit short. Jackson able to come away with a rebound. Swings it back on top to Hunter Hopkins, who's going to restart the play here. New shot clock in the process for Bellevue. Finding Casaba way down low. Open initially. She had to dribble out of a double team. Gets in front of the basket, puts it up, and lays it in. 5-2. Bellevue with the early lead here. 18:21 to go in the first half. This is a Shoreline team that only scored 9 points in the first half the last time these two teams played. Score was 34-9 at the half. Looking to show some improvement here today. 14-foot floater, and so far so good. That was Megan Lloyd with the basket.
Well, they're almost halfway there, and they got 18 minutes to go.
And they're holding their opponent down on a much lower score, so it's a closer game so far. We'll see if they can maintain this for a while. This is a Bellevue team that is having a very strong season. Like we mentioned, 7-0 in conference, only 2 losses overall. 3 ball is missed. Everybody going for that one, and finally Casaba coming away with it. It's Hunter Hopkins, who was looking for her second 3 of the game, missed the shot. Hopkins looks down low, finds an open. Casaba finds her nicely underneath the hoop, and she lays it in. 4 points for Casaba here early on. 7-4, Bellevue in the early lead. Double team coming again, a nice job of breaking that by the Dolphins. Perry kicks it back out on top. It's Bremer. Bremer floats one over to Abu, who throws up a long shot, misses it off the rim. Open look. That was Bremer that missed that one. Bellevue coming away with it, and they're looking to push it onto the other side. It's Jones, coast to coast, misses the shot in the key. Perry with the rebound. Gets it over to Bremer, and Bremer's going to bring it up with 16:45 to go here in the first half. And unfortunately, Abu just not able to hold on to that pass. It trickles out of bounds, and Bellevue gets the possession. $16:39 to go here in the first half. 7-4, the Bulldogs of Bellevue, the road team, wearing the blue uniforms, in the early lead. Saba kicks it out. Air ball thrown up. That's Jessica Hopkins who's getting her first action. Jump ball, they're going to say, which means the possession arrow goes to Shoreline, and they will get the possession with 16:24 to go in the half. Once again, Bellevue employing a press, floating the pass sideline to sideline, never a good idea, and Jackson picks that one off. Kicks it down low. That's Jones driving the lane. She floats one up and gets her first basket of the day. Makes it a 9-4 game for Bellevue. Shoreline breaking the press this time. Latrice Johnson finally bringing it over the center line. Bremer throws a pass to Abu. She can't hold on to that one. Bellevue takes it, looking to push it. It's Jones, finds Hunter in the key. Hunter turns around, fires up a shot, misses it, gets her own rebound. A lot of contact, and we're going to get a foul called. 4 minutes and 22 seconds into the game, and our first foul of the game.
At Bellevue, they run that same kind of offense as Linwood. I think it looks a little bit familiar from last night.
Linwood High School you're talking about.
Yes.
Make sure that Hunter Hopkins at the line shooting 2. She misses the first shot. Yeah, that's a game that you guys broadcasted, Todd. A great game between 2 of the top 5 teams in the state of Washington at the high school level as Hunter hits the second shot. Bit of an upset for, if you will, as the Linwood Royals, ranked number 1 in the state, going down to the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, 62-49 last night.
Actually, I think it was probably good for Linwood because they are going to make a strong run at state, and that's going to give them a little bit of something to think about, and they'll just tighten their game up. I think that it won't affect them at all.
Yeah, young Glacier Peak team, so certainly gives them some confidence heading into district play next week, as most of the high schools around the area are heading into playoff play, some of which have already started, but most start next week. Ball gets batted out of bounds. Bellevue retains possession. However, the shot clock now down to 15. 10-4 lead for the Bulldogs.
These guys are kind of getting ready to set themselves up for playoffs also.
Yeah, quite a few games left still. They're through one round of round robins within their region. A few more games left. Top 4 teams make it. Bellevue obviously in the driver's seat. They're undefeated after playing each of the teams within the region one time, sweeping all 7 teams so far. And that ball gets picked off by Casaba. Floats it ahead. That was a nice pass. Cosmos, a little bit out of control, tries to float it back into the lane. Unfortunately, none of her Bulldog teammates there. Justice Perry picks it off. Bellevue coming down to the other end. Another steal by Bellevue. This time it's Michaela Jones. Turnover's really hurting Shoreline here so far. Jones running into the key, floated a pass out to the left. Not really sure who that was intended for, but it floats by everybody and into the Shoreline bench. It's going to be Dolphins basketball.
By the way, that's the massage table over there for halftime when you are
trying
perfect.
To relax. Do they do house calls? Can they come up here, or do I have to go over there?
You have to go over there.
Okay, good to know. It looks like it's not being occupied right now. Good time to remind everybody, too, that we do have a doubleheader here today. 3-ball is aired by Latrice Johnson out of bounds to Shoreline, to Bellevue, rather. We're doing the men's game between these two teams at 4 o'clock today. I almost wanted to say tonight, but it's we'll call that late afternoon, right? It's not quite evening yet. Bellevue versus Shoreline, 2 teams that played a 12-point game earlier this season. Shoreline currently tied for 4th in the region, a 3-way tie, and only the top 4 teams go to the playoffs, so that'll be a big game for them, and Bellevue looking to stay unbeaten.
Well, Shoreline truly is in control of their own destiny. We watched them last week against Peninsula, and they were right there at the end within 2 points, and they have improved a lot.
I believe Marcus Armstead, their guard, was the NWAC Player of the Week last week. Player that I had a chance to cover quite a bit at Mount Lake Terrace High School 2 years ago. He's leading the team in scoring, and it's a team that keeps improving, so it should be a fun game to watch tonight. Again, they lost to Bellevue by 12 earlier this year. I think that's going to be a much closer game this time around. So tune in at 4 o'clock. But first we want you to watch this game as Michaela Jones taking it coast to coast, lays it up. She now has 4 points on the afternoon. 12-4 Bellevue with 13:23 to go here in the first half. Bremer picks up her dribble, gets caught out on top, finally gets it over to Abu. Bremer back to Abu. Finds Lloyd. She floats one up from about 12 feet out. Misses it, gets her own rebound, goes up strong and gets fouled.
Oh, that was good play there.
Yeah, nice hustle by Lloyd. Megan Lloyd to get back to the free throw line. Lloyd on the year shooting 60% from the free throw line and misses that one.
She's just lining it up for the second.
Trying to keep the average consistent, right? Averaging about a little over 8 points per game this year.
See that one? Nothing but net.
Nothing but the bottom of the net. Lloyd now with 3 points here in the afternoon. Leading scorer, obviously. They only have 5 for the game. 12-5, Bellevue in control right now. Casaba kicks it over to Cosmos. Swings it to Hunter Hopkins. Looking for Casaba. The ball got away from her, and Justice Perry picks it off. Nice float pass into the lane. Johnson just can't quite finish. Hunter Hopkins gets the rebound, and she's looking to push it up for Bellevue. We do have an injury down on the other end of the floor, and finally the referees are going to blow the whistle here as Latrice Johnson appears to be holding possibly her nose. I can't tell from here, but she's got her face buried into her jersey right now. Sydney Trung will be checking in for the injured Johnson on the play.
You always hate to see that happen.
And Johnson, the 4th leading scorer on this Shoreline team. Certainly not a player they want to lose in a game like this, especially when they're still hanging in. They're in contention right now with 12 minutes to go. Kasabu finds Hopkins down low. She puts one up and gets it to go. She now has 6 points on the afternoon, 14-5. Bellevue with their largest lead. And Shoreline is going to take a timeout. We're going to take a break. You are watching STSPN.
In filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And we are back at Shoreline College. Bellevue 14, Shoreline 5. Appreciate you watching here on STSPN.com. Steve Willits along with Todd Elvick. First of 2 games on our doubleheader this afternoon.
Hey, I don't want to scare you, but I've got a bag full of cheeseburgers over here, so.
Well, now you tell me, right?
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is true.
Okay. I got here 20 minutes before the game. You never offered me. Well, we might be eating those at halftime.
You better believe it.
We got 12 more minutes before that first, though. As we mentioned a minute ago, Sydney Tron checking into the game. And this is a Bellevue team that's only suiting up 7 players today. Cosmos with the layup. She's on the board for the first time this afternoon, 16-5. So you have 7 players suited up, and Latrice Johnson, who went out with an injury a few moments ago, as though she got poked in the face. Looking at her on the bench right now, she appears to be okay. So we'll go into the assumption we might see her again before the end of the day.
Well, I don't want to make this fact, but the way I understand it, Shoreline only has 7 players.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So maybe that was a nice gesture by Bellevue to match that 7 with 7.
Bellevue has about 10 players.
I know, but they suited up 7.
Bellevue has more than 7, though.
No, I know, but they only suited up 7. That's what you said earlier.
Yeah, Shoreline did, right. This is a who's on first, what's on second
It
routine,
is,
right?
yeah.
How did Bellevue match that, though? They've got like 12 players on their bench, or 10, I guess.
I thought I heard you say that Bellevue.
No, Shoreline's. No, I was pointing out the point being that Shoreline is only suited up 7, so therefore, with 1 being injured, it really decreases how much you can go to your bench.
And who's on second?
I don't know who's on third. What I do know is it's 16-5 with 11:11 to go in the first half.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I thought, where's he going with this? Bellevue doesn't have 7; they have like 10.
Yeah. Well,
and there's a pickoff right there. That is Michaela Jones, and she's going to take it all the way. Easy layup. She has 6 points on the afternoon. 18-5 right now. You look on that Bellevue bench. There are, 5 players. It looks as though they've got 3 coaches and an athletic trainer. You look over on Shoreline, and it's Coach Robinson, Coach Jones, and 1 player right now. I'm guessing that maybe Johnson is about to check in. It's a very empty-looking bench, to say the least.
Well, they made it a point last week we were talking to them, and they are definitely in a growing mode, and they've got several players that have committed to being playing next year that will bring their numbers up. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
It's a young team, too. There's Perry's the only sophomore on the team, so really Darnella Russell and Barry Jones doing a nice job of going into rebuild mode, and certainly there's a nice surplus of players in the area, players having great years. they can get a few more players to commit, they could be a very good, formidable opponent here in the next couple years. Traveling called. That was number 25, Ebony Jackson. He's going to turn that over to Shoreline.
I see Sawyer Manning's out there on the court. We remember her from high school, Glacier Peak.
Glacier Peak. She's a Wesco player, which is the conference that the two local high schools around here, Shorewood and Shorecrest, play in. So she is certainly no stranger to playing basketball in the Shoreline district, if you will. Latrice Johnson missing that shot. Bellevue coming away with the rebound. Here comes Michaela Jones. Throws it into the left corner. That is Deandra Alexander getting her first action of the day. Nice pass down low. Cosmos floats one up, misses it. Manning was on the pass on that play. Alexander got the rebound, missed the offensive putback. Coming away with it is Tara Bremer, who's still looking for her first points of the day. Nice spin by Bremer. Dribbles to her left. Picks up her dribble, gets trapped momentarily, and finally finds Justice Perry, who swings over to Latrice Johnson. Floats one up from about 12 feet out, misses it. Rebound, Ebony Jackson, and here come the Bulldogs one more time. Jones setting up the offense. Very content taking their time right now. 9 minutes to go in the half. Jackson with the ball. Kicks it back out to Jones. Almost had it taken away by Trun. Jackson right inside the three-point line, and she travels. Shoreline basketball.
Very energetic cheer squad.
I've noticed that. It's a cheer squad of one, as one of the parents apparently is over here rooting on her Shoreline Dolphins.
Yeah, I talked to her before the game, and she said this is her first game that she's come to.
She's making up for lost time then by cheering very loudly, which is what they need right now. We always like to see support. Bremer floats up a shot, misses it. Leading scorer for Shoreline on the season, and she still is looking for her first points of the game. Ooh, that was almost a carry as Hopkins had that ball get away from her momentarily. Gets it back. Should point out that's Jessica Hopkins. We've got two Hopkins on the floor for Bellevue, or two on the team rather. Hunter Hopkins right now catching a breather on the bench. Ball gets away momentarily, and finally coming up with it is Alexander. Kicks it to Cosmos. Nice shot, 16 feet out. 4 seconds remaining on the shot clock when she let that one go. 20-5, and what was a close game for a few minutes early on is no longer. This is two teams that played a 77-25 game earlier this season as Abu misses the shot. Really, if
she should have taken a better look at that. I mean, she had plenty of time.
If you're Shoreline, this is a young team. We mentioned that a few minutes ago. They've only got one sophomore on the entire team. Everybody else freshmen. I think you came into this game knowing you probably weren't going to win it, but you're looking for improvement. You're looking for something to build on, something that you can kind of use in the future. And, hey, you've got more season left, too. You may not beat Bellevue, who's the number one team in your region, but you can certainly beat some other teams that are fairly winnable games as Johnson throws up a long three-pointer, misses it. Ball is still on the ground. Everybody's scrambling for it. Finally, Sawyer Manning and Fatuma Abu.
I think you can absolutely say that when you come in, a team that's growing is playing a high-caliber team like Bellevue, that they come away with a lot more experience and they learn a lot from this level of a game.
And that's really up to Coach Russell and to Coach Jones to keep their heads up, too. I mean, you have to keep them of the mindset that, hey, you're in rebuild mode. There's nothing wrong with a loss. It's a matter of improvement, and it's a matter of going out and playing strong and getting better.
What'd you take away from it?
Also doesn't help when you're playing with a 7-player bench, which is what Shoreline is. I know they've got a couple of injuries and also lost another player to grades earlier this year. So they're a little bit depleted as it is. Shot goes in and out. That was a three-point attempt by Jennings. Alana Jennings getting her first action of the afternoon. Bremer kicks it over to Abu. Drives down the left baseline. Ball just floated out of her hand. I think she lost it. It was swatted away by number 24, Kasaba, but really not a block shot as the ball was already loose. 6:35 to go here in the half. 20-5. Bellevue in the lead.
I I tell you, with a bench like that and be able to transfer players in and out, that's something we got to see last night on Linwood. They transfer players in like every couple of minutes. High school, it doesn't quite match up here.
And there's a travel.
College, but when you got a full bench, and you can put, every time there's a timeout or every time there's a stop and play, you can move a couple players in and out.
Well, and that's the difference between having a 7-person roster as opposed to an 11 or 12. At the college level, we're playing a 40-minute game, and there's only really one intermission, whereas in high school, you're playing with quarters, so you constantly have that break every 8 minutes, and it's only 32 minutes total. So if nothing else, these Shoreline players are certainly going to get their endurance exercises in during the course of this season. And we get a full timeout called by Bellevue. 6:02 to go here in the first half. The Bulldogs with the 20-6 lead. You're watching STSP.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And welcome back to STSPN. 6:02 to go here in the first half, and it is all Bellevue right now, 20-5. Todd, we've got a special guest here right now, a guy that I've had a chance to watch quite a bit in his career. 2 years ago at Mountain Lake Terrace High School, he took the Hawks to a 4th place finish at the state tournament, and now he is the leading scorer for the Shoreline Dolphins men's team here, Marcus Armstead. Marcus, how are you? Is that on? We don't have you on yet. We got to get you on here first. We'll get Marcus on here in just a second. Until then, we'll call a little action as Sawyer Manning, I think she might have stepped out of bounds. That's exactly what happened. And ball is turned over to Shoreline with 5:50 to go. Eventually, we're going to get Marcus Armstead on here.
Try that, Marcus.
Okay. Is he on?
No, he's not here.
We're going to get you on him. Oh, we're going to use the big mic there. There we go.
Big mic.
There, now I can hear something there. I think we're in good shape. Todd Elvick running the board and doing a little color commentary. He's a 5-tool player, folks.
Yeah.
Nice shot. That was Justice Perry picking up her 4th point of the game. It's 20-7 now. We're still testing out some gadgets and plugging some things in.
There you go.
Oh, I think.
You there, Marcus?
Oh, we using the mic, Todd, or we using
the mic? Yeah.
Okay, we'll use the mic. There we go. Now I can hear Marcus Armstead.
There we go.
We'll sort out the headset at the next break.
There we go. Tied up, jump ball. That's going to be possession arrow over to Shoreline. Nice job by Justice Perry. So, Marcus, tell us a little bit about the season so far for you guys.
It's had a lot of ups and downs. We started the season off kind of slow, the Pierce tournament and whatnot. But we've been progressing really well with the new coach, getting the system down and whatnot, getting really well with defense, getting to the rack more, not shooting as much.
Got a foul against Latrice Johnson. She's going to head to the line for 2. We're broadcasting your game at 4 o'clock today. You're playing Bellevue. Tell us a little bit about that matchup. You've played this team already once this year.
Yeah, Bellevue obviously being ranked the #1 team in the NWAC. It's supposed to be a tough game. We dropped the one to Peninsula, so we really need to come out here and get this one. And according to our coach, he doesn't want them to go undefeated this year, and we all feel like we have a chance to take that from them, so we're going to come out here and do what we need to do to try and get this W.
So there's a lot of pride on the line for that as well. And also, obviously, you guys are battling for a playoff spot. We mentioned earlier you're in a 3-way tie for 4th, and only the top 4 go, and you got 7 games to do something about that, right?
Yeah, Coach always says that we determine our destiny from here on, like if we want to be in that tournament, we just got to take care of business, D up, and not take any nights off, any plays off, or anything like that.
What's been the one thing that's, I noticed the team's playing better as the season progresses. What is the one thing that you guys have improved on the most, and what's maybe the one thing that you need to improve on a little bit more? Or maybe it's the same thing, I don't know.
It's always just been defense with us. Obviously, Shoreline's had the reputation for coming down and playing the run and gun style. So we've just been really trying to get our defense down, execute all of our set plays to perfection. Just try and be crisp. The more crisp we are, the better we play. The more we pass the ball around, the better we play. It's real fun for us.
And I noticed a couple weeks ago, I got to ask you this on a personal note. You had a game against Edmonds Community College. You versus Blake Fernandez, two teammates from Melick Terrace High School, and heard that was quite the showdown. How was that playing against Blake?
It was a good game. I was kind of sad that we didn't get the win against them. Obviously, I wanted to outbeat Edmonds, especially because they're ranked higher than us as well. Can't wait to see them again, though. That'll be a good one at Edmonds.
I noticed there's a couple of GP players on there, too. You probably talk a little smack when you get
I've had to.
What a good time, huh?
Yeah.
Big rivalry there. Zach Peterson having a huge year there over at Edmonds.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, 20-8 here right now. Driving the lane is Johnson. Getting the ball and floating it up is Lloyd. She misses the shot. Getting the rebound is Perry. She can't get it to go. Shoreline with 3 good looks right there. They're on a 3-0 run. They had a chance to cut that lead down to 10, but couldn't quite come up with the basket.
Now, is that Mount Lake Terrace math, or?
It's a little bit of Melick Terrace and a little bit of college combined. You like that? You better be careful. You got 2 Melick Terrace High School graduates sitting to your right now.
Yep, that's right.
You're outnumbered right now, 2-1. Got a little chance here to look at the lineups. Jessica Hopkins in the game for Bellevue right now. She initially gets trapped. Got Alana Jennings flanking her over on the right. Couldn't get it over to her, and Shoreline gets the ball. So ultimately, at the end of the day, Marcus, people tune in at 4 o'clock. What are they expecting tonight?
They're going to expect a showdown, a good game between 2 teams. Obviously, the Shoreline's known as the underdog, but we're going to come out here and try and D them up, lock up all their point guards and whatnot, and it'll be a good game for sure.
And you got the home crowd, hopefully. Some folks turning out here later on. And
we'll have some people showing up. It should be a good one. Our baseball team will be coming out here supporting us. We also got Dolphy the Dolphin down there doing his thing always.
We're talking about that.
Dolphy, you got the cheer squad, you got everybody. Exactly. So it should be a fun game again. 4 o'clock, Shoreline versus Bellevue. Shoreline's leading scorer, Marcus Armstead, joining us. Marcus, I'll let you get back and going over there, but appreciate you coming on, and good luck to you today.
Yeah, good seeing you again.
All right, you as well.
Marcus, trying to figure out that headset. I don't.
We can do that during the break. Marcus must have brought the team a little bit of luck, because in 3 minutes that he was here, we didn't get one basket from Bellevue the entire time.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, that was a heartbreaker last week. They played really, really well, and they brought it back, and they were within 2, and gosh darn it, they couldn't get her tied up.
Yeah. Well, and he's a big part of that. He was the, like I said, the NWAC Player of the Week last week. Nice layup there. That was a basket by number 11, Vivian McLean, getting her first points of the afternoon. 22-10, Bellevue in control right now. 2:57 to go in the half. McLean picks that one off. She's got a player ahead, finally connects with her. And missing the layup, that was number 22, Alana Jennings. A little bit of a tough layup at that. She was right underneath the basket. Manning with the ball, tries to throw it out onto the left corner of the floor. Gets batted away by, I believe that was Justice Perry that batted it. Out of bounds. Bellevue keeps the possession with 24 to go on the shot clock. Jennings looking down low, finds Manning. Manning goes up, gets the ball taken away, and I believe she drew contact, which will put her at the line for 2.
Treese Johnson, it's your first personal 32 foul.
Treese Johnson picking up the foul. Her first. Only the 3rd team foul against Shoreline here so far.
Is that a scrim or a scrum?
I've always referred to it as a scrum.
Just trying to get my lingo down.
We can look that up. I don't know if this is scrim a word, or is it the same word?
Well, scrim, as a printer, it's a kind of a special paper.
Okay. But it's probably definitely a scrum that we're talking about when they're battling for the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
Brimmer to Lloyd. She misses the shot. 2 attempts for Shoreline. Goes off the foot of one of the Bellevue players and out of bounds. Yeah, I can't imagine much need for scrim on a basketball floor then.
Well,
if it's paper.
I
mean, you never know, right? There's stranger things have happened out on the floor. Johnson in the corner, misses that shot. Nice rebound by Perry. She goes up strong, connects. She has 8 of the 12 points for the Dolphins here in the first half. It's now a 22-12 game. We mentioned earlier the last time these two teams played back in early January, the score was 34-9 at halftime, so certainly Shoreline making a better game of this. Bremer kicks it ahead to Johnson. Fakes a Bellevue player up into the air and misses the shot afterwards, but nice play on her part. Just couldn't quite finish it as Jennings gets trapped in the corner by 3 Dolphins. Finally throws it ahead. Bremer bats the ball away, and Coach Stubblefield for Bellevue decides he wants a timeout, and we'll take a break. 1:44 to go here in the first half.
I think they're going to have to work on that trap a little bit.
They might. You're watching STSPN. And welcome back to Shoreline. You are watching STSPN.com. Steve Willits along with Todd Elvick. Good little game going here so far in the first half. Shoreline managing to keep it fairly close. It's 22-12. And Latrice Johnson going for the steal. Couldn't come up with it, but does bat it out of bounds. Bellevue down to 12 to go on the shot clock with 1:33 to go in the half. Just mentioned earlier, on paper, this looks like it shouldn't be much of a game, but so far, Shoreline making it very interesting.
Well, again, a lot of times you get these teams and, they play up. Sometimes they play down to their competition, sometimes they play up, and here's Shoreline showing that they can play up.
Well, Shoreline with a 7-player team right now and hanging in rather nicely with Bellevue here in the first half, holding them to only 22 points through the first 19 minutes of play. Nice fake move going baseline and finally kicking it out. That was Alexander. And they're going to say she traveled before she passed it off.
Returning for Bellevue, number 2, Michaela Jones.
1 minute and 1 second to go here in the half. The score was 20-5 with 6 minutes to go, so really Shoreline holding Bellevue to only 2 points in the last 5 minutes while scoring 7 of their own. Looked at that time like this game was going to get away fairly quickly, and all of a sudden Shoreline making it a ball game. That's number 32, Madeline Roberts, getting her first action of the day. Roberts loses the ball and out of bounds over to Bellevue with 48 to go. 17-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock right now. Perry going for the steal, knocking Alexander to the ground. Incidental contact, they're going to say. Shoreline gets the steal, looking to push it forward. Roberts kicks it down to Johnson. Johnson with a spin move in the key, floats one up and gets it to go.
That was nice.
Nice job by Roberts to get her the pass, and great job by Johnson to spin away from the defender and go up and underneath for the layup. Johnson with 3 points on the afternoon, 22-14. Missing the shot, that's Alexander, and Shoreline has a chance to get it down to 6 here before the end of the half. Johnson with the easy layup, and she gets it. Shoreline on an 11-2 run. We're down to 2 seconds to go. And with 1 second left, they're going to call Shoreline for a foul. However, they only have 5 in the half, so that will not send Bellevue to the free throw line. The foul is going to be called on Bremer, her first.
You think they knew that?
Boy, that's a tough call. I don't know. I mean, I would have been willing to just let her have the shot from the corner there, but now they might be able to get a better shot off, and I don't think they realize there's 1 second. They don't. Michaela Jones does not get a shot up, and we've got an interesting ball game here, folks. Bellevue Bulldogs 22, the Shoreline Dolphins 16. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back here shortly. You're watching STSPN.com.
What are you doing?
come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And welcome back to Shoreline College. Our halftime score, and it is a good one. The Bellevue Bulldogs 22, the Shoreline Dolphins 16. This is a game that was 20-5 with about 6 minutes left in the first half, and at that point, it looked like it was going to be business as usual, as this is a Bellevue team that defeated Shoreline by 53 points earlier in the season. However, Shoreline went on an 11-2 run over those final 6 minutes and are making this game very interesting right now. Looking at the stats at halftime here, looking at individual players for Bellevue, Hunter Hopkins, 6 points. Michaela Jones, 6 points. Vivian McLean, 2 points. Shelby Casaba, 4 points. And Cape Cosmos with 4 points. And that is all of your scoring for the Bulldogs. For Shoreline, Latrice Johnson, 5 points. Megan Lloyd, 3 points. Justice Perry, the leading scorer in the game, with 8 points. And that is the entire scoring for Shoreline. One player to note there, Tara Bremer, the leading scorer for Shoreline this season so far. Tara averaging close to 12 points per game, and she has been held scoreless in the first half. And if you had told me before the game that we would be sitting here at halftime with 0 points out of Bremer, I would have thought this game was going to be way out of hand by now, and it hasn't been. So stay tuned. And not to say that Bremer's played a bad game at all. She's only put up 5 field goal shots. Done a nice job of getting 2 assists, had a couple rebounds also, and she's been a big part in that comeback to make this game respectable right now. So if Bremer gets going a little bit and Shoreline can keep up what they've done in the first half, this game could get very interesting again. Looking at some overall stats here as well. Field goal shooting in the first half, Shoreline 6 for 28, so they're only shooting 21%, whereas Bellevue's 10 for 26 at 35%. 3-point shooting, well, not so good for either team. Bellevue is 1 for 6, Shoreline 0 for 4. Not a lot of free throws either. Shoreline 4 for 6 from the line, Bellevue 1 for 2. Looking at a few other stats here. Total rebounds, Bellevue with a slight edge, 22-17. And we are already back in action here. The second half is underway. Bellevue will take possession to start the half. Swinging the ball around, going from right to left right now. Jackson pulls up from 6 feet out, and she gets one to go. First points for Ebony on the afternoon. Jackson in the first half only had 1 field goal attempt total. Matches that and gets this one to go this time, and Jackson coming up with a steal on the other end, so a good start to the half for her already. And on the other end, Cosmos floats one up, misses the shot. Perry couldn't come up with a rebound. I believe Cosmos touched it last. She did. Shoreline basketball with 19-16 to go in the ball game.
I think Shoreline's going to have to take a look at a little bit of their ball awareness there. But that long pass, that was...
Yeah, cross-court passes were a bit of an Achilles heel in that first half. Ending the half on an 11-1 run certainly gives you...
That is right, too. These girls are working hard out there.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of momentum going into the second half. Let's see if they can capitalize on it. Bremer kicks it out to Johnson. Johnson with a long 2-ball in the corner, misses it. Scrambling around for it. Abu getting a lot of contact there, and not going to call a foul, but they are going to say that the ball was last touched by Michaela Jones. That'll give Shoreline the ball right in the corner there on the right sideline. Abu tries to float that one into Johnson, gets away. Bremer comes up with it and gets it taken away from behind. That was Cosmos. Cosmos couldn't quite come up with the possession as it was bouncing down towards the sideline there and finally goes out of bounds. So Shoreline still with a fresh 30 as they never had possession of that inbound pass. Or at least they're going to say Cosmos, I guess, had possession at one time or another. Spin move by Johnson. Picks up her dribble. She needs help of some sort. Looking for Bremer, can't find her. And finally, Coach Russell very wisely calls a timeout to bail her out. 18:33 to go in the game. We'll take a quick break. You're watching STSPN.com.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to choke that Skittles down. Now, how come you don't have the right color Skittles?
You caught me on the air. Well, this is what they sell out at the concession stand out in the hallway there.
Oh, I see. Because you have to have the right. Shouldn't you have like the blue or what color is that? The aqua color one that.
The one that the Seahawks had. Yeah, and that worked out really well. We're back to the old original rainbow Skittles. Everybody's like, what are these guys talking about? Steve Willits along with Todd Elvig eating some Skittles, watching Dolphy and the cheer squad perform right now down below, and watching a good basketball game, 24-16. Bit of a low-scoring affair, quite frankly. It certainly bodes well for Shoreline, a team that lost to Bellevue by 53 points earlier this year. They're not going to lose by 53 today. It is an 8-point game with 18 minutes left on the clock, and they've got the ball as well. Batted out of bounds by Hunter Hopkins.
You know, here's a question for you on the cheerleaders there. Now, they're facing the Bellevue team in front of, I would assume, I don't know what side this is over here, but shouldn't they face us? I mean, the crowd?
That's a good question. I don't know how that works. Cosmos with a breakaway, missed the layup. Scrambling for it, a couple of different players. That was Bremer and Jones fighting it out. Going to get a tied-up ball, Shoreline possession. Yeah, that is a good point. They are cheering towards the Bellevue bench. Perhaps, is there, I was going to say more space down there, but really there's not.
Well, even if there was, wouldn't you face the crowd? I don't know.
Well, in basketball games, I think you generally try to watch what's going on in the action. But yeah, I think the reason they're at that bench is because it doesn't block or impede the entrance where the other one does.
The things that we have to know. You know what I'm saying?
I hadn't even noticed until you pointed it out, so very astute of you to notice. Casaba misses a shot. Nice pass down low to Cosmos to get it to her. Ball is last touched by Shoreline, so Bellevue keeping the possession with 18:04 to go. Jones wide open in the corner. Long three ball, misses it. Coming down with a rebound is Abu. Gets it to Bremer, who's still looking for her first points of the night. Bremer throwing the ball over to Johnson. Being guarded closely by Cosmos. Abu coming over to get the ball from her. Looking for Lloyd down low, forced the pass a little bit, and Casaba bats it out of bounds.
I take it the eye is better?
The eye is better?
Was it number 3? Oh, who got their eye hurt?
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell if that was... I thought you were talking about the letter I. I couldn't figure out where you were going with that.
You never know where I'm going.
That's very true. Which makes it fun for me, right, as the broadcaster. Bremer for 3! Misses that shot. And yeah, Johnson did come back after the injury in the first half as well. I don't know if it was an eye or a nose, but nice job by Jones laying that one up. She now has 8 on the afternoon at 26-16. Now, if you tuned in late, Latrice Johnson going down with some sort of a facial injury midway through the first half. Not good when you're a team of 7 players. As Justice Perry floats one in. She now has double figures for the game, and that gives her 10 points. Noticing the bleachers are slowly filling up here as we do have another game coming up at 4 o'clock. Bellevue boys versus the Shoreline boys. I keep saying boys. I'm used to high school basketball.
Yeah, boy,
it is the men and women's teams.
I got nailed for that last week, our first broadcast, and we had it listed as the Shoreline boys, and I was like, oop.
Yeah, not to mean any disrespect for anybody, because at the high school level, it is officially boys and girls. So if we slip up from time to time, you can tell we broadcast plenty of high school basketball games around this area.
Yes, we do.
Jones at the free throw line. Hits the first shot.
Did you look down the roster there and recognize anybody over there coming in from Bellevue? Or
I did see. Are you talking about a certain player from Jackson High School?
Sure.
Brian Zare is on the team. Brian is a member of a Jackson High School basketball team that lost the state championship game to Curtis just a couple years ago, less than 2 years ago right now. Playing along with Dan Kingma and Jason Todd. He's on the Bellevue roster. 28-18.
I wish I would have looked ahead because I've got plenty of clips of Brian Zare.
Jones missing the shot. Casaba got the rebound. She also missed it. Ball finally goes out of bounds. Bellevue basketball. Zare definitely had a nice little run at Jackson during the course of his high school years. Cosmos takes the inbound, gets tied up, and no call as Justice Perry rips the ball from her. Bremer pushing it ahead. She gets Abu, and Abu does not come up with it. out of bounds. It's going to go over to Bellevue.
Well, that'll make it interesting. You got Marcus from Motley Terrace. You got Zaire.
Yeah, we got some
really
local ties here for
really
absolutely.
Good players.
I'm not sure what's going on here right now. We've got I think Jones might have been cut a little bit, which requires her to come out of the ball game. A little surprised that they're actually going to delay the game and not force them to bring another player on. I mentioned earlier Bellevue had 10 players on their bench. They actually have 11. So certainly there are no shortage of options, and I guess they're going to stop the bleeding, wrap it up, and get her right back into the game.
They look fairly relaxed over there.
they do, don't they? Enjoying a good game so far. 28-18. Nice job by Bremer. She got her hands on that pass. Scramble for it. Perry finally comes up with it. Dribbles out of it. She's got a couple players coming up behind her. Gets it over to Abu. She's going to shoot the three. Off the back iron. Nice rebound by Lloyd. She goes up strong, misses the shot, but draws the foul, and she'll head to the line shooting two.
Foul Bellevue's number 5, Hunter Hopkins. That's her first.
Hunter Hopkins picks up the foul, her first, only the first team foul against Bellevue here in the second half. And Lloyd hitting the first shot. She now has 4 points on the afternoon. Hits the second one as well.
You know, I have to tell you that the fun thing about broadcasting these games here is it's really a lot of fun to see these kids that we've seen before, that have come up from high school, and now we see them at the college level, and you know, that's a pleasure.
Yeah, in some cases you get to see a lot of new players as well. These players coming from all over the place. Jackson with the ball at the top of the free throw line, kicks it over to Hopkins. Hopkins with a long three, and I do mean long as she fires it over the rim. Casaba comes up with the offensive board. She leaves it short, gets a board, misses her second shot. Cosmos goes up, misses the shot. 4 attempts for Bellevue on that possession, and they could not get a basket. 8-point game right now. Bremer looking ahead to Lloyd. Layup and missed it. Nice pass by Bremer. She had to throw that ball about 35 feet just to get it down to her, and Lloyd had a chance at it, just couldn't quite convert. Hopkins fakes the three and travels. 28-20. 15 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game. If you're Bellevue, you've got to be a little bit shell-shocked right now. This is a team you handled easily early in the season, and right now with 15 minutes to go, we've still got a ball game. Bremer to Lloyd. Lloyd with a long shot, missed that one. Casaba comes up with it. We get a little pushing on the rebound there as Justice Perry and Ebony Jackson get tangled up. Jones floats one up, misses the shot. We're going to get a foul called against Bremer on the play.
Shoreline's number 13, Tara Bremer. That's her second personal, second team foul.
Second foul on Tara Bremer. Second team foul against Shoreline. It's going to send Hunter Hopkins to the line shooting two. Misses the first shot. And hits the second one. She now has 7 points on the afternoon, 29-20. Bellevue with the 9-point lead. Bremer setting up her offense. Gonna float one up from 16 feet out, hits the back iron, bounces off, and Cosmos comes up with it. Kicks it over to Casaba. Here comes Jones flying up the court. Nice play there on Cosmos' part as she caught that pass and noticed that Jackson was cutting to the hole. Dishes it down to her, and she misses the shot but does draw the foul. And Ebony Jackson will go to the line shooting two. Justice Perry playing down low in the post and only picking up her first foul of the game. Perry misses the first shot. Or Jackson, rather, missing the first shot. And Todd, I keep waiting to see if the Shoreline team's going to start showing some fatigue, and really they haven't done that so far.
Well, and they're running a full court press too, which, you know, when you've got so few players, that's a good way to wear them out in a hurry.
30-20. Bremer kicks over to Johnson. Johnson spin move, flies into the key, a little bit out of control, misses the shot. Casaba comes up with it, a nice steal by Bremer. That was a defensive back move right there. Just took it right out of her hands.
Great. Wow, that's awesome.
We get a foul called against.
Gosh, I didn't have our instant replay turned on. Otherwise, we could have saw that again.
I don't know if Casaba knew what hit her there. She had that ball, caught it over her shoulder. As soon as she turned around, Bremer just stripped it right away from her. Didn't even hit the ground. Just took it right out of her hands.
I don't think I would have been ready to hit the button anyway, because I didn't even realize what happened myself until all of a sudden she's heading down the court.
Like, how did she get the ball? Bremer going to drive the right side, floats one up. Still looking for her first basket. Can't get it to go, and Casaba comes away with the board. 13:41 to go here in the game. Bellevue on top by 10. Michaela Jones, the guard out of Juanita High School. Swinging the ball around. Ebony Jackson gets it over to Casaba. Cosmos is going to take a shot from the left wing, and she gets it. Cape Cosmos with 6 points on the afternoon. Bellevue with their largest lead in the half at 32-20.
She's excited for her daughter.
Man, we hear a lot of cheering going on to our right side here, and they're going to call a travel against Sydney Trun. A good energy in the gym, and again, it's the building's starting to fill up a little bit. I think a lot of that has to do with the men's game coming up here in less than an hour. Some of the players showing up and their families. McLean thought about shooting the three there, pulled back. Now she gets down low. Nice pass from Casaba to McLean. Easy layup. And McLean now has 4 points in the game, 34-20. Bellevue with 6 straight points here right now. Shoreline needs to get something. Johnson forces one into the lane. It gets away from Lloyd, and coming down to the other end is Jones. Jones dishes to Jackson. Misses the shot. However, Cosmos is able to get the rebound. She misses a shot. Jackson kicks it back out way over the head of McLean. And look at this, Justice Perry with a gift. Misses the shot. Well, that was one of the more interesting plays you're going to see. Perry was actually over by the bench talking to her coaching staff, and the ball just happened to float way over the top of everybody into the backcourt, and she almost had an easy layup. Not able to come away with it, however, and Bremer bats that one out of bounds. Bellevue with 25 left on the shot clock will throw the ball in right in front of their own bench. Can't hold it any longer, right, Tom?
I'm trying.
Some of the more interesting things we'll ever hear at a basketball game taking place to our right here.
I
don't know if it's we don't know for sure. It's one of the family members of one of the players here. Yeah, she's keeping us entertained, to say the least.
Absolutely.
Some of which is probably good that it's not going over the air.
That is correct, and that's one thing about coming down and seeing a live game. It never ceases to surprise you.
You never know what you're going to get. We have a timeout right now. 11:44 to go here in the game. You're watching STSPN.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And we are back again, STSPN. Steve Willits along with Todd Elvick. 11:34 to go in the game. Shoreline making this game respectable, 34-20. They trail Bellevue right now. Game has been tight all the way through. However, Bellevue on a bit of a run right now. Shoreline trying to stay in the game, and unfortunately that's not the way it's going to happen, as Ball went right through Sydney Trung's hands into the backcourt. Over and back violation, and the ball is turned over to Bellevue.
Now, what I don't understand, I see Brian Zaire over here. I guess they're probably heading down to the locker room, but why would he not be wearing his STSPN Player of the Game shirt?
You think he has one or two of those?
Yes, he does.
You know he does, right? Nice play down low. McLean getting by her defender and laying that one up, and Bellevue now taking their largest lead of the game, 36-20. 10:53 left. Bremer finds Lloyd on the right baseline. Abu's going to throw one up. Missed the shot, but she traveled before that even.
You're not supposed to take a couple steps there?
Not permitted, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Ball gets away. Abu coming up with it.
Boy, I tell you, quick hands, that's what I got to say.
Always a plus, right? Especially when you're playing defense. Shot in the corner from Abu, and she gets one to drop. Her first points of the afternoon. It makes it 36-22. Pushing it ahead. That's Casaba. She's going to go all the way through the key. Took that ball at center court and just found a seam and went with it. Missed the shot, however. Ebony Jackson coming away with the offensive board. She comes up with the field goal. Yeah, 5 points for her, all in the second half. 38-22. Abu with the long shot. Swish, that's a three. She now has, and they're going to say that was right inside the three-point line, so we'll give her two. Saw the referee's hands go up to signal three initially, but they're not putting that up on the scoreboard, so we'll call it a two. Casaba had the ball get away from her, comes back up with it and floats one up from the baseline, gets that one to go. She now has 6 points on the afternoon, 24-40. Bellevue in control with 9:34 to go in the game. Bremer dribbles around, finds Johnson. Ball is loose, coming away with it is Bremer. Gets the ball batted from behind. That's McLean who swats it out of bounds. 7 seconds to go on the shot clock, so Shoreline's going to have to do something quickly. Bremer about to inbound it from the baseline, kicks over to Justice, and she gets a basket.
You can tell him he can pull that out.
She now has 12 for the game.
Pull that wire out.
There we go. Can we get there? We go. Now we've got Steve Eskridge, the athletic director for Shoreline, on with us. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Not a bad game here so far. Certainly we were thinking that this might be a little bit of a rough afternoon for Shoreline after the first matchup between these two teams, but you've got to be proud of the way these young ladies are hanging in there.
Yeah, they're playing a lot better basketball now, and we feel good about where they're at right now.
Bremer with a breakaway. 2 players behind her. Jones swats her from behind. She goes down hard. They're going to call a foul, and Bremer will be heading to the line for two, and I'll wait to see if she's going to be able to get up. And so talk to us a little bit about this ladies team here. 7 players on the team right now, but a lot of youth.
Yes, we've got a lot of freshmen on our team this year, and in fact, we're busy recruiting right now for next year, and I think they've got 7 verbals, and this year has been a little tough for them, and but they're playing a lot better than when they first started out, so we're real pleased with them where they're at right now. And
we were talking about it on the broadcast just a few minutes ago as Trung's going to come in and shoot the free throws for the injured Bremer, and hits the first one. This is a team that's, they're winless so far in league play, and really coming into a game like this against the team who's number 1 in the league, you'd like to think that you're always playing to win, but there's a good chance before the day starts that you're not going to get the victory. So really from the standpoint of, you hate to talk about moral victories, but there's such a thing, especially with a young team. If you're Coach Russell, you have to kind of come into these games feeling like you're just looking for improvement, right? You're looking to see how they do from one game to the next, and certainly when you see that they're down by 12 to an undefeated team with 8 minutes to go, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no. We're very proud for where they are right now, and the girls are playing very, very good, and she's got them playing, and we're happy about where she's at right now with her team.
Got another injury down on the floor here as Cape Cosmos, number 31 from Bellevue, hits the floor hard.
Starting to get a little physical.
Just a little bit, yeah. 40-28. We've got a timeout on the floor. Let's take a quick break here as well. We'll be right back. You're watching STS.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
Shoreline Community College and Puget Sound Auto Dealers Association have been recognized internationally for its pioneering in finding a new way to deliver technical training for automotive repair.
It's a great opportunity for the Shoreline Community College to get together with an organization in the city, show off what we can do, the classes that the Shoreline Community College teaches.
Sure. Welcome back to SPSN.com.
Whoa.
What do they call it?
Well, you just
STSPN. I'm all over the place. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
I got the big sign right behind me. I can't miss it, right? STSPN.
There you go.
There we go. Say that quick 10 times. You probably have, I'm imagining.
Well, you know, we have the same deal with SLSN. I'm usually going Sound Sports Live. What is it?
Sound Live Sports Network.
So we do the same thing. You know, I mean, every day you got the same deal, and people are, well, what's your website? You know, you try and tell them, and they're like, what is it? What? Anyway,
well, you know,
we are.
yeah, it's funny because as you know, obviously, I normally do games for Sound Live Sports Network, so SLSN, and so STSPN doesn't roll off the tongue necessarily as easily, but we're getting it. Hey, on a much more serious note, Cape Cosmos is still on the ground. Fortunately, she is moving. We have seen her roll from her side to her back right now, so we're hoping that everything is okay down there. And Steve Eskridge, the athletic director who was joining us momentarily right before the injury occurred, is down on the floor right now helping out with that and has promised to come back afterwards and get a chance to talk to him a little bit about how things are going at the school right now in general. And certainly within the athletic department, he's been here at the school for quite a few years, and it sounds like they've got a lot of exciting things coming up in the future here, and we'll let him talk into the detail about that.
Did you say the school was?
It's a 50-year-old school. They're celebrating their 50th year this year, and so certainly a lot of activities going on around here right now. Steve's been at the school since 1990. That's half of the 50 years right there.
1990. That's when 91's when I got in the military, so yeah, that's a long time ago now.
It puts it into perspective for you, right? Looking over there today, we might even get another guest over here right now. I'm looking over to my left here, Luke Hammond, who is a longtime coach at Mount Terrace. I shouldn't say a long time. He was an assistant coach at Mount Terrace High School, also played there and played a little college ball. He's one of the assistant coaches for the Bellevue boys team, and maybe we'll get him to give us a little preview of that game that's coming up at 4 o'clock and talk to him. I just made eye contact with him and motioned him over here, and he let me know that he's eating a hamburger right now and he'd come over afterwards. So.
Yeah, well,
I know how that goes.
I asked, at halftime, Sawyer Manning if she'd come up and talk to us after the game, so we'll see if she makes her way over.
Well, there we go.
In a timely manner, because if it's not, we'll close it out.
Right.
Ready for the boys' game. we'll see what happens. Maybe she'll come up and talk to us ahead of the boys game.
Yeah, we do have the boys game coming up again, 4 o'clock right here. It should be a very good game. If you're joining us late, we did talk to Marcus Armstead earlier, the leading scorer for the Shoreline boys team this year. Shoreline averaging 16 points per game, Marcus averaging 16 points per game. If Shoreline was averaging 16 points per game, that would be an issue. Yeah. Oh, that sounds much better in my ear, by the way.
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out what the echo was there, and it was the athletic director's headset.
Gotcha.
Had left that open.
Well, yeah, we should have a very good game coming up here for the boys. And again, all the focus and attention right now on the floor is on Cape Cosmos. Couldn't really tell what the injury was, and quite frankly, I didn't see her go down initially, so I wasn't sure what she was working on. It looks as though they're having her move her fingers a little bit there, so perhaps she...
I'm following Delphi.
Injured one of her arms?
Delphi?
Yeah, Dolphy the Dolphin. So we do have the break in the action again, being very well tended to by a couple of different trainers. Mel Stubblefield, the head coach for Bellevue College, is down there as well. Steve Eskridge, the athletic director. And certainly, from a fan's perspective, you don't like delays in actions, but you have to take every precautionary measure possible when a player is injured, so we respect that and certainly understand it.
Well, there's Jamie Cox. She must be talking to maybe 911 or something.
Again, we do have movement from Cosmos down there. She is moving her legs a little bit. Did not see the injury. It was right along the baseline there, on the left side of the baseline on an offensive possession. Clock right now showing 8:27 to go. Scores 40-28. Somewhat irrelevant at this point as Luke Hammond makes his way over here, so maybe we'll throw him on there while we kind of wait to see what's going on here. We've already had our Shoreline men's perspective on this game. Now maybe we'll get a Bellevue perspective. Luke, we're going to get you on here for a little bit. This is a guy I've interviewed a few times back in the day, just like old times. Another Mount Lake Terrace alum, so you're getting Hawks all over the place here. We had Marcus Armstead on earlier, a guy who you, as a coach, might have to worry about a little bit today, right?
For sure. Marcus is probably the main priority on our scouting report. And yeah, I actually coached Marcus as a freshman.
That's right. You did, didn't you?
At Mount Lake Terrace, so I'm familiar with some of his tendencies, but he's evolved quite a bit as a player. He's having a good year. He's shooting the ball well. So yeah, it's going to be tough. We're going to have our full focus on him.
Now your team, give us a little bit of a preview here for some of the folks who might be tuning back in at 4 o'clock today. I know you guys are undefeated in league play so far. Give us a breakdown and how the season's gone and what we should look for out of the Bulldogs today.
Well, we're sitting at 22. It's been a good run so far. We're at 11 straight. We're pretty battle tested too. I mean, we had a pretty tough non-conference schedule, and so we've had a lot of good wins. And we only got 9. That's the thing. It's been kind of a crazy year. We lost our starting center. He's actually sitting over there in the middle. Isaiah Richmond. We lost him. He broke his tibia. And then we lost a couple other guys to academics. So we played a couple games with just 7. So it's been tough, but it's been good for us. Being smaller, we're not very big across the board. We start 6'4", 6'3", and then a couple small guards. Our 3 leading scorers are 3-point guards.
Oh wow!
So,
okay. So it sounds to me like it's more of an up-tempo offense than I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, so we're leading NWAC right now in points per game allowed. So defensively, we're the number 1. We have the number 1 defensive rating. So that's what we've been hanging our hat on because, we are often undersized, like I said, but, we're able to pressure the ball and create a lot of turnovers and get that pace going. And there's times where we'll play 3 point guards at once. 2 of them are sophomores that have returned. Dominic Jordan and Jalen Ward, those are pretty much our 2 leaders. And then also Dominic Hollab, who's a freshman who, a lot of games we can't really decide who we want to come off the floor, so we play all 3 of them, which is a little unique. And they're little guards too. They're not 3-point guards that are 6'2" and big. They're all about 5'9". So, we're unique in that standpoint. But, with that said, we always have playmakers on the floor because of that.
When you've got a lead like you do in the standings right now, you guys are in first place. Does it change? And going back to the fact that you're down to 9 players right now, does it change the way in which your team goes into a game strategically in terms of, well, we don't want to get everybody too tired because obviously the playoffs are what's ultimately the goal, and in terms of maybe how much you might play a player or how long you might keep your leading scorer on the floor for?
Yeah. It's managing minutes has definitely been a key, but we don't really worry about it so much in game. It's more so, managing their legs in practice. We can't go as hard as we would like to often because guys are banged up. And actually we might only have 8 tonight. One of our kids, Brian Zier, who went to Jackson, he is typically a starter for us. He's been playing well, but he's been having ankle troubles. So I'm not even sure he's sitting over there on the right.
Right.
He may not play tonight, so that brings it down to 8. And then somebody picks up 2 fouls early. So definitely managing minutes is a huge key for us. We got to use our timeouts more strategically.
It looks like you got 3 guys over there.
Yeah, we got 3. The kid on the far left is Corey Nevin. He stepped into the starting role. He's from Issaquah High School, freshman. He's been playing real well as of late. He was struggling shooting the ball a little bit non-conference, but since league play has started, I think he's actually over 50% from 3. But yeah, it's been a grind. It's definitely been a grind, but we're very pleased to finish off the first half of leagues undefeated, and now, this is the start of the second half of league. So, we hope to keep it going, and yeah, definitely the NWAC tournament is our ultimate goal in staying healthy.
I'm just looking at the standings here in front of me. You've got a 1-game lead on Edmonds, a 3-game lead on Everett. What do you see out of that Edmonds team? Is that going to be a team that you have to contend with down the stretch?
Man, so when we played them the first time around, it went to overtime, and at that point in the season, that was probably the biggest game in all of NWAC. Up to that point, we were ranked number 1, they were ranked number 2 in all of the league.
And that includes 4 different regions, 32 different teams,
that's
right?
All 32 teams. We were number 1 and they're number 2, which the most recent polls came out and they're number 2 again. They slipped down to I think 3 or 4, but they're tough. They got some size. They're deep. I think they play 11 or 12. So
they can run you a little bit.
They come in waves. Yeah. So that was a very, very good game. The fans got their money's worth that game. Went to overtime. We won by 2. So we know that they're on our tail. They're waiting for us to slip up, and if we can stay unbeaten once we see them, then that game will ultimately decide first place.
Sure. Am I looking at this correctly? I just pulled up your stats here a minute ago. Have you guys shot over? Well, those are field goals in general. Okay. For a minute there, I thought you guys had shot 400 3-point attempts. Or that is actually is that? We are looking at field goals from 3. Have you guys shot 400 3-pointers so far this year? It seems like a lot.
It looks like it. What are we sitting at? About 30?
36%. It looks like.
That's about average. I think we're actually a little better than that in league. But yeah, we shoot a lot of threes. Again with our
close to 20 a game.
With those, that sounds about right to me. I mean, with those guards that we play, and you'll see we're small, but we keep the floor so spread to allow those guys to make plays because they're so good. Breaking guys down off the dribble, and getting into the paint and kicking it out for threes. So yeah, the 3 ball is something that we rely on for sure.
And so far you're undefeated with it. Just looking back down on the floor here one more time. So again, if you're just tuning in, Cape Cosmos hitting the floor hard. Not sure what her injury is. We have seen movement from her, so from that standpoint, always a good sign, right? Anytime you're watching a basketball game and you see a player rolling around a little bit, but needless to say, it's a serious enough injury to where they did call a medic unit, and they've just arrived here shortly. So I don't want to, as much as I'm enjoying talking about the preview of the game, we want to keep an eye on Cape, and we certainly hope she's okay, as they're looks like they're just checking her vital signs right now. But again, if you're just tuning in, there is movement down there, and we're hoping this might be more of a precautionary thing more than anything. We'll keep you posted if we get any information. But again, Luke Hammond is our guest right now, assistant coach for Bellevue. You coached for a while at the high school level, and now you're at
Malik Terrace.
At Malik Terrace,
yep.
And now you're doing the college thing. What's the biggest adjustment for you as a college coach to go from one level to the next?
It's a scheme-wise, it's a little different as far as X's and O's on the court, but it's more so dealing with 16, 17-year-olds versus 21, 22, 23-year-olds.
Which could be better and worse in some ways, right?
Yeah, it goes both ways. I mean, I certainly enjoyed my time with Coach Sood at Malik Terrace, where I played also. I put 5 years in there, and I learned a lot. And it's been great here with, coaching for under Coach Eggers, who I also played for at Bellevue for a year. And I have to add in, the only other time he made it to the NWAC championship game was my year.
It was your year. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
How'd that game go? You guys lost that game, right?
Yeah.
But you got
had
there.
to bring that up, didn't you?
Well, but hey, the fact that you got there to 32. Well, we know another local team that was one of 32, and they made it to a championship game and lost last week. So we know how that goes around here with the football team, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But refresh my memory. Where did you go after that, after Bellevue?
After Bellevue, I went to Northwest University.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what it's like to make the transition from community college to a four-year school. Does that help in terms of how you're able to maybe prepare some of these young guys that you're coaching right now and help them get that transition in?
I definitely believe so. I have a very good rapport with a lot of the guys. I mean, I'm only a few years older than some of them, but I've been there. I know what it takes to succeed at the CC level. I was first team all tournament when we made it to the championship game at NWAC in 2007. I had success, and like you said, I also moved on, because that's the goal.
Sure.
I mean, like I tell these guys, hate to break it to you, but you're probably not going to get to the NBA at this point.
Right.
The goal is to go get your education paid for. Go move on to a four-year school somewhere that you can go and play. A lot of guys get kind of caught up on Division I, Division II. That everybody wants to play at the highest level for sure, but you want to get somewhere where you're wanted and can contribute.
And do you have a lot of schools in the area recruiting your guys right now? And maybe, I don't know if you're able to mention any of those, but maybe just in terms of a generalization as to which schools around here tend to recruit maybe the most aggressively towards the community colleges. I'm sure some teams like to go more of the four-year route, and they like to try to get the players young, but at times when teams need to plug holes, they will go to the community colleges.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying which schools exactly, because it's still early in the process for some of these guys, but especially for our four sophomores who are all returning, and all four of them start. The Westerns and the Centrals and the SPUs of the world, a lot of the Division II schools, they like to pull from the NWAC players, because like you said, they can.
You hear the round of applause really quick. That's Cape Cosmos, who's up in a seat, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a numbers game really, and I don't think people always understand the fact that they always think it's just, hey, once you're at the community college level, everybody's going to go 4 year after that, but it's not necessarily the case. There's only so many colleges,
spots.
and they only have so many spots, right?
I mean, what is there? 4 Division II schools in Washington and 3 Division I's and a few, so there's not that many spots. So, and
you're competing against 32 schools within the NWAC alone, and then that doesn't even take into account the high schools that are
the high schools and the other junior college leagues around the West Coast. I mean, the competition is at a max for sure. So, that's why it's important. And for a lot of these guys at the community college level, a lot of them are there for a reason. Maybe were talented enough to play somewhere else, but it's their grades, or maybe they were good enough, but they need to work on their attitude, stuff like that. So it's a lot of things that go into it, but like we always tell them, you're here for a reason. There's a reason why you're not at a 4 year school, so you need to work on those things in order to give yourself a chance to be looked at. So but yeah, we got about 4 guys that are getting some pretty good looks. And I think maybe 2 of them are starting backcourt. Jalen Ward from O'Day High School and Dominic Jordan from Curtis High School. And Dominic Jordan actually played at Curtis when they won the state championship.
Just 2 years ago.
2 years ago, he was on that team. he's leading us in scoring. He took home 2 of the non-conference tournament MVPs. So keep your eye on him. But I think both of them could play, maybe I think they could play at a mid to high major D1, but that may not come. But I think they could play at the Division I level.
How tall is Jordan?
5'9".
So he is the guy. I was trying to remember, as soon as you said that, it kind of occurred to me. I remember watching Nate Curtis, I think it was the semifinal game at that state tournament, and he was the one I think that was lighting it up that night.
Yeah, I don't know what he put up and what his averages were, but yeah, he can fill it up. He is very good with the ball, can shoot it really, really well. He's tough to guard right now. I mean, as of right now, if the season ended, the first half of league play, he would be the North MVP.
Okay, so definitely a player to watch. By the way, yeah. Cape Cosmo's able to get over to the bench right now. The medical team or the medic unit is still here, so I'm not sure if she will be leaving with them or if perhaps maybe they don't find that to be necessary now, but we'll keep an eye on her. Before we let you go, too, I want to ask you from the other side of that. We talked about the players who are in the program looking to move on. From the standpoint of a community college coach, and maybe even more specifically an assistant coach, what is it like for you on like a Friday night? Are you constantly out at high school games looking to recruit more players? Are you?
Yes.
What kind of what's a week look like for you, or what's a non-game night look like for you?
Well, and that's probably been the biggest adjustment for me as being an assistant at the college level versus the high school level is that the recruiting, like you said. Every night, every Tuesday and Friday, we're at games. We have to be, to stay competitive with all the local talent. And, watching a lot of film, breaking down film. I don't know how other schools do it, but we have Coach Eggers, who's a head coach, and then there's us 3 assistants. Each game, we rotate as to who has the scout for the next game, meaning we break down all the film, we figure out matchups, we look at tendencies, all that. And I was used to that a little bit because Nayland does such a good job at Malik Terrace.
Right.
Coach Sood, he does an outstanding job with that as far as preparation and stuff. But yeah, that's been a bit of a adjustment for me.
Just want to let our audience know, too, before we forget here. They are letting everybody have a 5-minute warm-up period. If you're just tuning in, we have 8 minutes to go in regulation of our girls' game. We had an injury on the floor. Cape Cosmos was down for a considerable amount of time. And with the 20-minute break in the action, the referees have decided to let the girls warm up for 5 minutes. So that's what you're watching right now. So we're just a few minutes away from.
And the scoreboards went dead.
And the scoreboards just went dead. So I'm wondering what they're going to do there. I wanted to, speaking of recruiting players, I'm looking at your roster here right now, and certainly when you're over at Bellevue College, a lot of talent to choose from in Kinko alone on the east side. But I notice on your roster, you're kind of all over the board. I mean, we talked about Dominic Jordan at Curtis. Dominic Smith is from Tahoma, so he's also a South Ender. You've got a guy from Anacortes on your team. We mentioned Brian Zare already, who plays up in Mill Creek or played up in Mill Creek in Jackson. I mean, you guys aren't just staying within a 5 or 6 mile radius, are you? You're kind of going all over the place.
Well, and Coach Eggers, he takes pride in keeping all the local kids. I mean, you look at most of the other teams in NWAC, they might have a kid from California, a couple kids from Alaska, a couple from a lot of other schools will recruit outside the state. Jeremy takes pride in finding good talent within the state, whether that's North End, South End, on the east side, so yeah, there's no bias towards any region to pick from.
And how does it work at the community college level, or I guess now it's college level for, I know Bellevue's a 4-year.
Right.
Is there housing that's available for these players, or do they get stipends for it, or?
Well,
how tricky is that? I don't even.
It's constantly in talks of how to, because like Edmonds has housing. I think they just got housing like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
They had a couple dorms built for guys, for athletes to live. At Bellevue, we do not, but we are trying to find ways to get housing.
Okay.
And it's a matter of where on campus it can be and stuff like that. But as far as the financially across the board in NWACs, all student athletes get the same amount of money per quarter. It's not, nobody gets a full ride, gets everything paid for. I think it's about about a third of tuition is covered, and that's a flat rate across the board for all NWAC schools.
Okay. Of course, yeah. For competitive balance purposes,
Yeah,
you can't have one school do one and the other.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be governed.
Because at Bellevue, there's a little bit more money. It's a bigger school. We're a 4-year school now, Bellevue College, and so yeah, it wouldn't be fair just because there's more money at Bellevue for us to be able to offer kids more.
And so how does that work? Now, explain this to me, too. I actually attended Bellevue Community College many, many years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's quite a few now. And now it is Bellevue College, and it is a 4-year school.
I think it's painfully obvious.
Hey, not a bad place to get an education, early part before you transfer on back then, in those days. How does that work then? So once a player completes their 2 years, they can continue their education at the school, but they can no longer play for the team? Is that how that works? Because you can't have juniors and seniors if other schools have only sophomores, right?
Yeah. You know, athletically, all you get is those 2 years,
okay.
Even though we're a 4-year school. And I don't know if there's any other schools in NWAC that are an actual 4-year school like we are. And I guess I can throw this out there because it's still unofficial, but we are hoping to maybe fill into a D2 role here pretty soon. But that's
sure. Well, I always kind of wondered if that wasn't because it's really only been a 4-year school for a short period of time.
Yeah, for a short period of time. But enrollment wise, I believe Bellevue only trails Wazoo for enrollment.
Or University of Washington, I think. I think they used to be ahead of Wazoo. I don't know if they still are.
Well, I know that we're ahead of one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
When you include online enrollment.
Okay.
I think actual students physically going to class, those two are still bigger. But when you include online enrollment, we're like the second biggest school in the state.
Wow.
So why wouldn't we
move on up?
Sure. Especially because we've been successful. Jeremy, this is his 12th year, and he's had winning seasons in 10 out of the 11, and made the NWAC tournament, I think 8 out of the 11. So, he's been real successful. He's just due for a ring.
Well, yeah, you mentioned one championship game appearance in 2007. And
that was the only one all these years. He's had a lot of good teams. That was the only one.
And I don't mean to bring up a bad memory. I'm asking this because I really don't know the answer. Was it a close game, the championship game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We I never let him forget it. I picked up my second foul with 16 minutes left in the first half. I picked up my second foul, and I was playing well all tournament. He decided to sit me so that I didn't pick up my third. He sat me the whole rest of the first half. He just wanted me to be able to go for the whole second half. We were down 14 at halftime to Clackamas. We stormed all the way back second half. Tie game. I believe it was dead at 50. Mm-hmm. Tied up at 50 with 5 minutes left. And then we struggled the last 5 minutes. They had a 6'10" kid, Brian Freeman, who went on to play Division I at Long Beach State. The size was just a little bit too much.
And one other thing I wanted to ask you about Eggers before I let you get away, because I haven't mentioned it on the broadcast yet. We should also point out that Jeremy was the head coach of both the men's and women's team at the same time last year, right?
Yes. Not really by choice. I mean, he kind of just got shoved into that role because of the other circumstances that went on with the women's team. And yeah, he was glad to hand it over to Mel.
Yeah, that's Mel Stubblefield, who's now the head coach. By the way, Abu making her third field goal of the half right before that last play. That's Shelby Casaba. So both teams getting a quick 2 to start this game back in action. 42-30 is the score with 7:50 to go. Yeah, I've got to think that trying to coach 2 college teams simultaneously is not the easiest thing in the world.
The thing he did like about it, though, was that he was able to be in complete control of gym time at BC. Mm-hmm. And that's, he likes that to be his domain, and he likes to be able to, pick and choose when practices are for both sides and everything. But
Latrice Johnson, by the way, floating into the lane, gets that bucket in. Her first points of the second half. She now has 7, and here comes Casaba. Casaba with a spin move lays it in. And I was going to ask you about that too. This is you got to get going here, looks like. But Bellevue team, you've had a chance to watch these ladies quite a bit this season. What can we expect from them down the stretch?
Well, they've been playing well. I don't know how many they've won in a row, but they got to be getting close to 10. And yeah, I believe they moved up to number 5 in the most recent NWAC polls. They're a very good team. Number 2 here, Michaela Jones. She kind of makes them go. It wouldn't surprise me if she ends up at the D1 level. But yeah, they're good. They're good. They shoot it well. They're well coached. They got good size. Obviously, she does her thing at point guard. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you run. I know your team just went into the locker room. Hey, Luke Hammond, thank you very much for the time.
Thanks for having me.
Best of luck to you, and we'll see you out on the floor here in about 30 more minutes.
All right, guys.
All right, take care. By the way, that was Tara Bremer who got her first bucket of the game on that last possession. We had yet to see her score tonight. So we mentioned earlier, she's the leading scorer on the team for the Dolphins this season. Casaba just loses that ball as she tried to drive in between two players. Justice Perry comes away with it, and Abu, who's hit two very long two-pointers in the second half. She has 6 points for the evening. Just scored a minute ago. Now she's got the ball again. She's going to put up a three this time. Slightly off the mark, and coming down with it is number 24, Shelby Casaba. Ahead to Jackson. Easy layup. Nice job from Michaela Jones spotting Jackson way down low. 46-34, and the clock now showing 5:53 to go here in the second half. It's Latrice Johnson up on top. Fakes the three, kicks it over to Bremer. Bremer's going to bring it back out on top. Pulls into the lane, fires one up from 14 feet out, misses it. Scramble for the rebound. Lloyd comes away with it, goes up strong and draws the foul. And Megan Lloyd will head to the line shooting two.
Boy, they've stayed right in it, haven't they?
Not a bad game. Not what I was expecting today, to be honest. I thought we were going to be filling a lot of airtime today just because of the fact that this might be a 40 or 50 point game, and that's certainly not to be disrespectful for Shoreline. These two teams played each other earlier this year, and it was a 53-point game. But they've done a nice job of just sticking to their game plan, playing hard as Lloyd gets the first free throw. She's now 4 out of 5 from the line today. And
this will go a long ways for their confidence.
Well, absolutely. And like you and I have been talking throughout the afternoon here, this is really about building confidence, still laying the foundation for the future with all these freshmen on this team. And this is a game that if they have some success either down the stretch this year or next year, win or lose today, they're going to be able to look back on this game and feel very good about it. We get a whistle there. Away from the ball, we're going to get a call against Bellevue. That's going to go on Deandra Alexander, number 44, her second. Alexandra was trailing that play in the backcourt, so she apparently bumped another player off of the ball. Perry with the ball, gets it over to Bremer, kicks it to Abu, a long three. Leaves that one just a bit short, comes off the rim. Jones looking to push it on the other end. Getting double teamed, finally finds Casaba. She's going to drive into the lane, kicks it out to McLean for three, hits it. Vivian McLean with the three ball. 49-35 with 4:59 to go here in the game. Bremer throwing it over to Johnson, back to Bremer in the right corner. She puts up a three. A little bit off the rim there, fired it just a little bit hard, and Jones comes away with a rebound. 2-on-2, fakes the pass, lays it in, misses it. McLean with the offensive board. Latrice Johnson, knowing she didn't have much of a shot at the rebound, just bats it out of bounds, enabling her Dolphin teammates to get back down the floor and to defend as Bellevue will inbound the ball underneath the basket. McLean takes the inbound, driving left to right. Throws it to Casaba, pulls up along the baseline, tries to float it to Jackson into the key. Gets stolen away by Johnson. She's going to drive down coast to coast. Floats one up over two defenders, misses the basket. Jones comes away with it. No foul as Jones is going to try to go all the way. Now she's got 3-on-1. Dumps it to Casaba. Nice play by Jones and a nice finish by Casaba.
How many 3 points did they have in the first half?
The two teams combined for only one 3-pointer in the entire first half. They were 1 for 10 shooting as a combination.
How many shots? How many 3-pointers did Shoreline take?
Let's see here. I think they were 0 for 6. I have the numbers right here somewhere. I take that back. They were 0 for 8 from the 3-point line in the first half.
Well, I keep thinking that they've taken a couple of three-point shots here late in the game, and that really wasn't their magic early on, and I think they should revert back to what they were doing.
Yeah, and we're not keeping the misses up here, so we don't have the second half numbers, but you're absolutely right. They've missed at least 3 or 4 more here in this half alone. They've yet to hit a 3 today, so they're about 0 for 12, 0 for 13, somewhere in that vicinity. And you're absolutely right, Todd. If you take some of those misses off the board and maybe allow them to try to get down low and get in there for 2s instead of 3s.
Control the ball.
Might be looking at a different game right now. Johnson with the ball up on top. 3:37 to go here in the game. Johnson with a long 2. Fires that one a bit too hard. Hits the backboard and comes down to Jones. Bellevue right now matching their largest lead of the game at 16. Ball was forced. Megan Lloyd trying to save that one from going out of bounds. Could not do so. Bellevue's going to take possession right in the corner there with a new 30-second clock. So if you're just tuning in, we're in a little bit of a delay there in the second half as Cape Cosmos went down with a leg injury of some sort, was down on the ground for more than 20 minutes. It's going to delay the start to our men's game a little bit here. As Jackson gets a rebound from Casaba's miss, lays that one back in. Johnson now with 9 points in the game, all coming in the second half. Largest lead of the night for Bellevue at 18, and with 2:57 to go, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching STSPN. And welcome back to Shoreline Community College. Steve Willits along with Todd Elvick right here on STSPN.
I see you keep looking back at that.
You like that? I made sure that time. So if I didn't work for another network that had similar letters, it would be easy for me, right?
I think that is what our problem is.
It's a little tongue-tying sometimes, but we got it right that time, so why not? Abu for 3. Shoreline still looking for their first tray of the game, at least their first made three-point shot of the game. And Bellevue right now in control with 2:40 to go. Casaba with the ball. Ball is batted away by Bremer. Nice steal for her. One-on-one with Jones. She's going to try to finish it, and Jones just takes it right away from her. Jump ball, and give Michaela Jones a lot of credit on that play.
Wow.
Couldn't play much better defense than that. Did not force it, did not make contact. Waited for the opportune moment, and as soon as Bremer picked up her dribble to try to shoot it, Jones just flat out tied her up and took the ball away from her. Bellevue swinging the ball around. Justice Perry making contact. I will say this for the referees, they've really let these teams play today. A lot of incidental contact that often gets fouls, and we're not getting the calls here, which I kind of like personally. I think just sometimes no harm, no foul, let them play, and that's what they're doing here. Johnson with the ball. McLean got her hand on it. Bats it away to Perry. Back to Johnson. 2 minutes showing on the game clock right now. 8 on the shot clock. Nice job by Lloyd pulling into the key.
You see, that's what I'm talking about.
The time and the patience and looking for your right shot.
Control it.
Ball gets away. Look at Bremer with the steal. 2-on-0. Dishes ahead to Johnson. Johnson with the layup. Give a steal and an assist to Bremer on that play. Johnson now with 9 points on the afternoon, 53-39 with 1:32 to go. Casaba with the ball, puts up a layup, gets it to fall. Casaba with 10 points in the second half alone, 14 for the game. All 2-point field goals. She does not have any free throw attempts at all today. She's doing a nice job of getting into the post, getting good looks at shots and making them. Abu still looking for that first 3 shot for the Dolphins. And we get a little contact there. Jackson and Perry.
Technical.
Perry throwing Jackson to the ground. And that was not the first time those two have hooked up a little bit today. And finally the frustrations from a team that is winless and down by 16 coming through there. And Perry throws Jackson down to the ground hard.
Wow, that was pretty hard.
The entire Bellevue team heading over to the sideline. I don't know if referees are still trying to work through this a little bit. Obviously, we know there's a technical on the play.
Yeah, there wasn't even a question. I mean, he was, as soon as she hit the floor, he was coming out with the...
At this point, with 1:04 to go in the game, it's not going to affect the outcome of the game. Not sure if they were trying to figure out if there was a foul before that or not as well. And that's exactly what they're doing. I think they're calling...
Personal foul on Shoreline's number 45, Justice Perry, that's her third. As well as a technical foul by Justice Perry, that's her fourth.
So they gave Perry both a personal foul on the play and then a technical foul on top of that. Gives her 4 fouls for the game, as the technical does count as a personal foul also.
Justice Perry's fourth personal.
It's going to put Casaba on the line, shooting the technical free throws. Again, 55-39. Bellevue's largest lead of the night was 17. If Casaba makes these free throws, she will give them their...
I guess I should have chose the right hoop. Yeah, well, the penalty was down here, so I was waiting for that.
That makes sense. But
yeah.
you're quick on the draw. You didn't miss any action,
Nope,
so you
didn't
saw
miss
both
it.
free throws.
I was just waiting why there wasn't any action.
Like, something's got to happen here eventually, right? And it did. So it's 57-39 right now. 1:04 to go here in the ball game. Bellevue's still keeping quite a few of their starters on. Casaba and Jones are still both on the floor, along with McLean. They do have Alana Jennings in number 22, who has the ball right now, and Ebony Jackson also in there. So I'm a little bit surprised they're keeping those players out there. But at any rate, McLean throws the ball over Jones's head, out of bounds, and that will turn the ball over to Shoreline. Bellevue with the win will go to 8-0 on the season for league play. Nice play down low. Lloyd missing the shot. Scramble for it. Last touched by Bellevue, so Shoreline will maintain the possession. So again, last time these two teams played, 75-22. If you're looking for a moral victory, you can certainly find one in that. This game is certainly a lot closer today than that last matchup. Abu for 3. No, does not go. It hits off the rim and bounces way into the air, and Jones finally coming down with it. There is about a second difference right now between the shot clock and the game clock. Jennings is going to fire up a 3 ball, missed it. Bremer coming down with it. Passes it ahead. The ball gets taken away by Casaba. 9 seconds to go. And that should do it. Your final score here today at Shoreline Community College. Bellevue 57, Shoreline 39. Let's take a quick break and come back and wrap this thing up. You're watching STSPN.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
And welcome back to Shoreline College. The final score, 57-39. Just a reminder, Bellevue runs their record to 8-0 in conference play, 17-6 overall. It's their 10th straight win overall as well. Shoreline falling to 0-16 on the season, but again, a much better game than some of the games they've been playing this year. We are going to sign off right now, Todd Elvick, but not for very long, as the clock is showing 14 minutes to go. Invite folks to tune back in here in just a few minutes, and they can watch another game. This time the men's Bellevue versus Shoreline. Oh, they did put 20 on. Okay, I'm looking over here where the speaker's blocking part of the 9. It looked like a 4. I'm much happier seeing the 9 up there. So, and 19 minutes and 20 seconds showing on that clock before we get back to action. So again, at this point, let's look at just quickly the scoring for Bellevue tonight, and this is all unofficial. Michaela Jones finishing the night with 10 points. Hunter Hopkins ends up with 7. Vivian McLean, 9. Casaba had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 in the second half alone. She ends up with 16. Ebony Jackson with 8. Cape Cosmos with 6. And by the way, it looks like they were able to kind of help her walk off the floor. We don't know the extent of her injury, but it certainly looks much better than it did when we initially saw her go down. For Shoreline, Fatoma Abu, 6 points tonight. Latrice Johnson with 9. Megan Lloyd ends up with 8 points. Tara Bremer with 2. Cindy Trone with 2. And Justice Perry, she had 8 at the half. She ends up with 12. Once again, our final score, 57-39. Tune back in 15 minutes or so, and we'll be ready to go with the boys' action. You are watching ST.